Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well. We've got a fantastic show on the way. But first, I just want to say thanks to NordVPN, our sponsors here at the Everything is Black and White podcast, who without none of this would be possible. And we've teamed up with them to offer our listeners and viewers an exclusive offer. You can click the link in the podcast description box or go to nordvpn.com/tune to sign up and save your pennies on a plan. It is well worth your time to sign up. You are secure, you are safe, and you're supporting the podcast. Why sign up? I hear you ask. Well, there are a host of benefits. For me, it is the value for money because one subscription can be used across 10 devices. That's your work phone, your personal phone, your tablet, what have you. 10 devices, one subscription. I mean, that is the definition of value for money. The other thing I love about it as well is the way that it keeps your details safe and secure when browsing on public Wi-Fi. So if you're on the bus, the train, you're in a cafe and you're connected to their Wi-Fi, there is always the risk that your details could be compromised. That's your bank details, your passwords, and a load of other stuff as well. But with Nord, you are safe and you are secure. And that for me means a heck of a lot. And look, if you're going abroad as well and you're missing your home comforts and you want to keep with it with all your UK streaming services, then you can click the location back to the UK and make sure you never miss your favorite program. What is not to love about it? It's absolutely fantastic. Very simple to get on board. You download the app, you sign up, and away you go. You're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping yourself secure, and you're supporting the podcast at the same time. And another benefit, and I've already mentioned three, and there are a host of other things to mention as well if we had the time. But the final thing I'm going to mention is there's a 30-day money back guarantee. So it's literally no risk. If you don't like it, get your money back. But you will like it because it's a superb app to have on your phone. Keeps you safe, keeps you secure. And once again, you're supporting the podcast. So click the link or go to nordvpn.com/tune to take advantage of an exclusive offer for our listeners and viewers of the Everything is Black and White podcast. Roll the titles. Hello, welcome back to the Everything is Black and White podcast. It's time for the first match preview of this week. And Sam Mulliner is stepping into the shoes of John Gibson. No pressure, Sam, as we look ahead to the visit of Bradford City to St James's Park on Wednesday night in the third round of the Carabao Cup. Sam, how are you keeping? You well?
Yeah, good. I didn't realise I was stepping in for Gibbo. I mean, really, you should have swayed Mark Douglas back for this one. It is the Douglas Derby. But yeah, nevertheless, we return to defend our trophy. There's a
We do
phrase I never
indeed.
thought we'd ever say.
Will we do it? Right out the doors. Are we going to do it? Are we going to win it again? We're going to retain it?
Yeah.
Wow, you sound enthusiastic about that.
I don't know, but I'm excited. It'd be interesting to see how we go. Obviously, so many fixtures, fixture congestion. This is where it all starts. The James Bunce effect has taken effect. I've got to be honest. I don't really understand the negativity around all the changes and the result on Bournemouth on Sunday. I thought we did all right. Yes, attacking wise, there's still things to learn. But I'm sorry, that was always going to be the case because of what happened late in the day. In the transfer window, partly the fault of someone who doesn't work here anymore, and partly the club's fault as well. So yeah, it is what it is. That's the situation we're in. But we played with tremendous credit against Barcelona. That was a joy to behold as a Newcastle fan and as just a football football fan all round. I've never been in awe of a player, watching a player at St James's Park before, but to be in awe of Pedri and Frankie De Jong, jeez, McSqueeze, wow. But yeah, and our goal, by the way, against Barcelona was an absolute thing of beauty as well. If they'd have scored that goal, they'd be proud of that. I thought our goal was fantastic, and defensive solidity that Howe's trying to bring back and instill, which is what happened during our highest Premier League finish season under Howe. We were very tough to beat. We got a lot of draws, but ultimately finished fourth. So yes, it's frustrating against like Leeds or whatever, and Villa we should have stuck 2 or 3 in against. But Bournemouth are a threat. We never have a great record there. We had fatigue in abundance. And I thought the lads that stepped in, pretty much all of them had a good game. Pretty much.
Well, look, we've been crying out for a squad that Howe can use and rotate. That's what he did on Sunday. 0-0 down at the Vitality is not a bad result by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to go in depth about my thoughts on that game and that result and the negativity that has come from some, because I did that on the Monday show and I'll just be repeating myself, but I'll do it one
Oh
more time.
really? I apologise. I didn't catch the Monday show, but yeah,
Oh, it was
just
brilliant. It was brilliant.
to chuck my 2 pence worth in. I thought the referee was weak on for both sides. Voltemada should have had a penalty, and we should have been down to 10 men as well. Chow should have gone. There's no two ways about it. It was a second yellow. I thought the referee was very poor. Miley was good. Willick needs to offer more, but brings a lot of energy to the side, which you need, especially when you're playing in that system. Um, Alanga's showing glimpses now as well, as now. I thought he was good against Barca. Barnes is. I'm kind of covering players from both games. Yeah, but I didn't think it was a bad call that Barnes was rested. Let's say it'll be a relief to see Gordon back on the left. Put it that way.
Yeah, and he will undoubtedly start against Bradford and probably against Arsenal as well. And we'll go into our predicted teams in a moment because it's one of those where we'll probably never agree, and everyone watching and listening will also have different start on 11s. But that's the beauty of having a squad to rotate and having the challenge of balancing start 11s when your fixture card is so full. What I was going to say is just a reminder that I think Newcastle are in a good position. Things for the majority are clicking. Obviously, the goals aren't, but that will come. And when that does come, we will see Newcastle United absolutely flying. And I've got full confidence that it will happen. It's just about being patient. And as you mentioned at the start, Newcastle are reinventing the wheel, so to speak, when it comes to their attacking approach to things. And we've just got to bear that in mind. Now, Wednesday, Bradford City. First off, I think if you'd asked Newcastle United fans what their ideal draw would have been with progress in mind, they would have said, yeah, let's get a League One side at home. They got Bradford City. But the reality is that this is a Bradford City that are flying high, top of League One. They've won the majority of games this season. I think this will be their 12th game so far, so more than double what Newcastle United have played. So they're well in the swing of things. Newcastle still getting used to excuse me, still getting used to playing and tactics and approach and what have you. This is not an easy game, is it? This is a game where Newcastle United, if they're not on their top form, could easily slip up.
Yeah, and we see it every year, don't we, in these domestic cup competitions? Yeah, Bradford, as you say, top of League One. Tremendous result the weekend at Cardiff. They absolutely battered them. Alexander's doing a sterling job there with the Bantams, isn't he? They've got some real talents in there. Sarcevic is one to keep an eye on. I know he's done the rounds at that sort of level, but he is a talent. It's just maybe the personality test he doesn't quite pass in order to really kick on and take his game to the next level. I remember he used to play for Crewe. A good mate of mine is a Crewe fan. He used to say he's an absolute heed the ball. Yeah, and the same when he was at Plymouth as well. I used to work with someone who's a big Plymouth fan, and she would say similar about him. But he's a talent, no doubt about it. So yeah, it's a dangerous proposition. We saw on our way to the trophy last season that aside from the penalty shootout against Forest, Wimbledon was probably our toughest game in the run to the trophy. So yeah, it could be similar. We'll see a heavily changed side again, as you say, which we'll come on to in trying to predict. But look, it's a test we should be passing. And yeah, it might not be pretty, but knockout football is just all about getting to the next round.
How much of a priority is the League Cup and the chance to retain it this season?
Um, It's an interesting one because I was thinking about this the other day, like how prioritized is just the next game, what's coming up. Sometimes to his detriment, but obviously this time James Bunce is really going to be earning his money this season, and we have a much more capable squad than we had 2 seasons ago. So we can rotate, and the starting 11 and the bench doesn't make you want to weep. So there's still positives to be had surrounding changes. I mean, back in the days of Sir Bobby, when we were managing a Champions League campaign, we'd be going out of the League Cup at the earliest opportunity some years. We never really had a great record when balancing, but I think he'll want to put up a really good defense of the title, and if there's a chance to go deep in the competition, we'll be taking it because we want more. Ever the greedy, fickle football fans that we all are, we want more trophies, we want more success. So I think on paper, when you play a lower league side at home, you think, well, we can rest a few, bring a few back in, and still progress, and that's what they'll be aiming for, no doubt about it.
Yeah, but Eddie Howe says something quite interesting in his pre-match press conference this morning. Of course, he was asked about what kind of team he would play, and this was his answer. There'll be an element of rotation again. The guys that have played 3 times last week, we might look to give them a rest. We want to pick a strong team, and we want to try and progress. So you have to get that balance right. You don't want players to lose rhythm. That's really important. And it's that last line that intrigues me slightly because at the end of the day, it's my favourite word at the moment. It is momentum. Newcastle United have had a bit of a start to the season. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? And, they will want to win on Wednesday, of course, to progress, but also to get that ball rolling ahead of Sunday and the games that are going to come thick and fast. So
Yeah.
he's going to pick a side to win and to compete, but also a side to hopefully kind of kickstart the season where they are picking up more victories than they have done so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's 4 players in there that obviously stayed ever present for Barcelona and Bournemouth. So you'll see Tonali, Livramento, Byrne, and Pope come out the side. This is handpicked for Ramsdale, isn't it, to get a game? But you can't argue with Pope's clean sheet record at the moment, doing fantastically well, and a big save towards the end of the game. At the Vitality wasn't there from Kluivert's free kick. That wasn't easy. So yeah, he'll come out, I imagine, and come straight back in for the weekend. Livramento, Tonali desperately could do with the rest because the work that they've put in those 2 previous outings was just absolute stellar work. So do you see Trippier come back in? Do you see Kraft come back in? I know you have a little alternative as well. And there's, do we see Jamal Lascelles from the start? Do we keep Chow in? Do we play with a back 5 at home to Bradford? You would probably hope not, but you never know.
Well, I disagree with you on one thing there. I think Sancho will actually start against Bradford City. I think
I
he'll
think you're
keep.
mad.
Well, we'll wait and see. I think he'll keep Sandro Tonali in for at
Why?
least first half because the man's got such an engine. He just doesn't ever look tired, and I just think he will start him. It's just a hunch. Also, I mean, I don't read too much into this, but that quote I've just read out, the club tweeted out with a picture of Sandro Tonali, and sometimes they do little things, drop little hints. So maybe they're
Twitter
hinting at
admins don't pick the team,
no,
Andrew.
I know that, but we, sometimes, we can read too much into that. That's what I've just done there. And what I just said is I don't usually, but anyway, I believed last night that he will start Sancho because we wrote a piece on the Chronicle website where our team here picked the starting 11. That went live this morning, 6 a.m. And in that was Sancho starting for me. I just think Bruno looked so tired that I wonder whether one game out is enough. Now, he won't want to miss 2 games in a row, but I just think Eddie Howe might look at Arsenal on Sunday and think that actually Bruno, with all the traveling he's done, the high altitude game against Bolivia, and the fact that he really did look knackered since coming back from international duty. He might keep him out just one more game, maybe bring him on with 20 minutes to go if need be, or just to get the legs moving ahead of Sunday. But I can see Sanj Tonali starting on Wednesday. I'll run you through the rest of my team and then we'll get your team. So I, like you, think Ramsdale will start in goal. I think he might play Leo Shahar at right back. Now, he was on the bench for the Under-21s on Monday. He did come off the bench in a 3-2 defeat at home to Norwich. But I think he might start him at right back. Then Kraft at centre back alongside Lascelles. I then think Hall will come in for this game, or keep his place in the side rather. Miley, Willick, Tonali, Gordon, Alanga, and Asula up front. What do you think?
Interesting about Shahar. I think he'll be on the bench. I definitely don't think he'll start. But yeah, interesting. I just don't see. I take your point about Bruno and agree with you slightly. It's not a slant on his fitness either, because no one, it's proved statistically he covered more ground, did more running than anyone else in the Premier League for 2 seasons running. Nobody works harder than Bruno Guimaraes. So yeah, maybe bringing him on. We've seen it before, haven't we? In cup games, he will be brought on with 25-30 minutes left. I'll be staggered if Tonali starts, because then that puts into question whether he starts against Arsenal, which again,
the man is unstoppable. The man is unstoppable. Honestly, I think
doesn't matter. I fully agree. I think he's one of the best midfielders we'll ever see. I thought he was. I mean, we have a world-class midfield, but I don't know what the levels are above world-class, or what you'd name them, elite or whatever, or stratospheric super Jesus. But that's what Pedri and Frankie de Jong are. But yeah, I'd be staggered. I just don't think there's any need when you could put Miley in there, who will do a fantastic job in there, I'm sure. I don't know. So yeah, I agree with you, Ramsdale. I agree with you, Hall.
But at the same time, he doesn't like to make too many changes, and he mentioned
no, I know, and that's why I'm going Botman, Chow, and not Lascelles.
But I mean, the argument from some, and maybe Arsenal comes too soon to have a verdict on this question, but that obviously the future is Chow and Botman. But Fabian Schär is likely to be missing against Arsenal. At least there's a risk that he'll be missing with this concussion. So he's going to have to play Malik Chow, isn't he, really, on Sunday? So if you're applying the same argument that you are with Tonali, I know the minutes are slightly different, but then surely you can't play Chow for the 3rd time in a week, right?
Because
he came off the bench.
Well, the work rate is slightly different as well.
Your
midfielders do a hell of a lot more running than your centre half. Yeah, if it's Chow, it's Chow. If it's not, it's not. It can be Lascelles, it could be Kraft, then you can play Trippier right back.
I don't think he's going to play Trippier. I think Trippier looked out on his feet against Barcelona. I think a little bit like the logic you're applying to my Santonali point. Is there any need? Is there any need to play Kieran Trippier when you've got other options? I mean, look, I've gone for Shahar, but he could play Kraft there.
Yeah, I think it'll be Kraft.
So I don't think we'll see Trippier, just simply because he's getting a bit old and he needs all the rest he can get. It wouldn't surprise me if you saw Trippier back in.
Aren't you the same age as Trippier?
Yes, I know that, but I'm talking in terms of football. Fantastic athlete, no doubt. I mean, definitely beats me in a sprint race. But the point being, I think he'll save him for Arsenal.
Is that you saying you definitely have him in the Great North Run? Because
100%.
your stamina would kick into play.
100%. Kieran, if you're watching, you've got to be 217.
Bold claim. What, 2 days, 17 hours?
Yes. Well, I'm sorry, we're talking more potential time, are
we? 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, I think Kraft will be right back. I think you might see Shahar off the bench, which will be good. But I'd be amazed if he starts. It's not really Howe's MO to do something like that.
Come on then, start from the goalkeeper and let's run through your team.
Ramsdale.
Right. Go.
Hall, left back. Botman.
You've done it the wrong way.
Chow. Kraft. Miley. Joe Linton and Willick.
Ooh.
Because I've took your point about Bruno, but I do think he will come on. Gordon on the left, Murphy on the right, and Asula up front.
Interesting, because obviously Joe Linton didn't feature against Bournemouth, and Eddie Howe referenced the injury and the aftermath of that he's feeling. And again, it goes back to the point, like, what is the best way to deal with that? Is it to give him minutes against Bradford on Wednesday in a game where he, of course, will shine? Or is it best to save him for Sunday in a game in which Newcastle United will desperately need that kind of brute force? But then I guess the counter argument to that is that, yeah, you start him against Arsenal on Sunday, but you also need him to be match fit. And the best way to get that is to play him against Bradford to get some minutes into the legs. It's an interesting dilemma, isn't it?
Something that we've seen Howe do before, and it really wouldn't surprise me if this was the case. He might give 45 minutes apiece to Joe Linton and to Bruno. You might see whoever starts hooked at half time. That really wouldn't surprise me. So that could be an option. I mean, there's options and choices to be making in a good way. I'm not saying my starting 11's perfect by any sense, but it could be Elanga, and if it is, that's fine. It could be Barnes. If it is, that's fine. If it's Voltemada, that's fine as well. But you've got to keep one mind on Arsenal, and also in a week's time for Saint-Gilloise, who looked bloody good at PSV, by the way, last week. They looked fantastic. That's obviously on paper you'd think, right, that's our easiest game. We've got to get an away win there. Oh, that's going to be tough if they play that way.
Yeah, indeed. Promise David, as we mentioned last week, getting the penalty. He's going to be a star, that kid. I say kid, 24. But
promise.
No, yeah, very good. The wings are interesting, aren't they? Because again, we're getting that balance of minutes and fitness, but Gordon's got to come back in on the left, just simply because you would think he is the man to start against Arsenal on the left, but you can't just throw him in, out of the cold. And I think we saw that against Barcelona, again, up top, and we can have this back and forth about whether he's any good there. But what we saw, he looked a little bit rusty, I felt, and that's obviously understandable because he's missed games since getting sent off against Liverpool. So Bradford City, even just for an hour, is ideal for Gordon because it means he can just get, some minutes into the legs.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I thought on the whole he was really good against Barcelona. Got his goal in the end, but obviously that early chance that I don't know what you can say. Did it come to him too quick? Was it too early in the game? Was it? I don't know. Either way, he should have done better with it. And that's ultimately what cost us those two chances early doors coming from your man Elanga to Gordon, then one to Barnes as well. Just after that, that was probably the difference between getting something from the game and not. We really did fail to capitalise on those early chances in the first half. But there's no doubt about it. Gordon looks so much better when put out wide because that's his position. Who'd have thought it? Player plays well in player's position, but. It's the reality of the situation we're in. Wissa has picked up an injury because he had little to no pre-season, then goes gallivanting off playing too many minutes for his country. So it sucks for us, but it's a balancing act, which at the moment I think Howe is doing well, but. Yeah, like you say, you don't want to keep the players too cold.
I think we've also got the issue as well that there's a lot of players who do with a bit of a confidence boost. One is Harvey Barnes, the other potentially Elanga in the eyes of some, although I think Barcelona would have done him the world of good. And the other, of course, is Nick Valdemari. Now, I can't see any... Well, I can see one of them starting, potentially Elanga. I can't see the other two starting, but I also can see an argument to why Eddie Howe might start them. even though once again I don't think he will do, because no disrespect to Bradford, these players are top class players, Voldemort and Barnes, and if they do need that boost, which they look to do so, then this should be the ideal opportunity really to put them in against the League One side and you say, right, go and show what you can do, get yourself a goal, get yourself an assist, come off after an hour, and be ready for Arsenal with a bounce in your step.
Why does Voldemort need a confidence boost?
Well,
He's played two. Well, started 2 games, done very well in both.
I mean,
Was involved in the goal against Barcelona, which was an absolute thing of beauty. Should have had a penalty at Bournemouth. Scored against Wolves. I think he's doing really well.
I personally, I've got no issue with how he's performed so far. Others aren't that impressed as things stand, but
You're
just with
never
him,
going to please everyone, Andrew. Look at Lewis Miley on Twitter the other day. That absolutely infuriated me. People having a dig at him. I thought he was good at Bournemouth. I've no issues with his performance whatsoever. Yes, we could have done more in an attacking sense, but that's as a team, not just Lewis Miley. He's 19 years old. I mean, it would kill me. I know our scapegoat in Sean Longstaff has gone, so people are clamouring for a new one. But lay off, my word, get a hold of yourself.
No, I agree. Mentioned that on the Monday show, but I think just with Voldemort, I mean, just a goal against Bradford. If you're a striker, that goal is the confidence boost for you to take into the next game. But I do think he's done fine. I think the goals will come, but I could understand the argument actually start him, let him get a goal in the first half, and bring him off at half time. But then you're risking your only senior striker getting injured, and that's the other horrible dilemma Eddie Howe is in, because ideally you'd want Johan Wissa or Nick Voldemort starting this game, really, but he hasn't got that opportunity. So it will most likely be Will Asula, and it is a big game for Will Asula, isn't it? Because in previous episodes, I've asked the question, if not now, then when? And I think that is a question that is more important than ever. With Johan Wissa being out injured until after the international break, Eddie Howe really can't continue to use Will Asula sparingly if he's got a future at this football club. He came off the bench with 4 minutes to go against Bournemouth. In a game where it's 0-0, got a chance to win it. If you believe this lad's got something, then surely the ideal opportunity to get him onto the pitch when it hasn't quite worked for Voldemort is with 15, 20 minutes to go. I think this is a huge game for Asula if he gets the nod. He has to come back to the dressing room at full time with at least a goal on his on the score sheet.
Yeah, something which he couldn't do against Wimbledon last year. I don't know how to frame it with Asula. Ultimately, is he going to be good enough for Newcastle going forward? No, I'm afraid. It was very interesting though, the interest late in the transfer window, which shocked me. Where we could have, if you believe the reports, doubled our money on him, which would have been a pleasant surprise, really. There is something about him. We've discussed him before, and we said he's going to be a late bloomer. I still think that's the case. Athletically, has got everything you'll need to be a good striker. Great personality. I don't know. It's one of those where his goal record and his goal record before he came to Newcastle as well was really poor. When he'd been on loan at places like Derby in League One, and obviously was never really a prominent feature for Sheffield United, was he? But I don't want to completely kind of lose all faith, because he could make me look stupid, which would be great. But because normally when I look stupid, it means something brilliant has happened. So I like it. But yeah, this is his game, really, isn't it? I would be starting him. He'd in an ideal world, he'd be playing 90 minutes and seeing the job through, and yeah, getting on the score sheet. And I hope he does, because, like you say, we elected to keep him. So he still has a role to play, and this was before the Visser injury. So he was Howe Tyndall's signing. They nailed their colours to the mast and wanted to bring him in, instead of, and that was when not cash was short, but spendable cash was at a premium because of PSR. So yeah, it is a game for him, isn't it? And look, he got a goal against Liverpool, which was route one, but it doesn't matter how they go in. You've still got to be there to tap it in. They all count the same. So look, I hope he does well. I think he will definitely start. Is he a better option than Gordon through the middle? No, but he has to turn that around. He has to turn that around, because at the moment we can't keep having to sacrifice Gordon to play him through the centre, because that's what we're doing. It's a sacrifice, and we shouldn't be at this point where we have to do that. Obviously, when Wissa's back fully fit, then we won't. But Asula needs to kind of still stake his claim. And games like this, games in like the FA Cup, games maybe. I look at PSV at home in the Champions League, who sounds you're well battered the other week, as I say. Those are the games that he needs to be making a name for himself.
Yeah, indeed. And you have to take the opportunities when it comes your way. Players like Harvey Barnes potentially haven't, and that's why Gordon will come straight back into the side against Arsenal, which is frustrating for everyone, really, because we want that decision to be difficult, but it's not going to be for Eddie Howe. I do, though, think that Asula is a better option through the middle than Anthony Gordon. Every time I watch Anthony Gordon up top, I never see it working.
Because it
There's
doesn't,
not,
but it hasn't worked with Asula either, really.
but
If
that's
when
not that
Asula's
much.
when Asula's played from the start, we still look very, very blunt up top. I mean, he must have something about him if Villa and it was Frankfurt, wasn't it, that were interested in him late in the day. Frankfurt scouting is good. So he must have something about him. Like I say, late bloomer for sure. But I don't know. We still look very blunt in attack when the pair of them are through the middle.
I think he just needs a bit of tailoring, doesn't he? He's got something about him, but he's very kind of arms and legs. As I've said previously, he reminds me a bit of Miguel Almiron when he's got the ball kind of head down and not really
Well,
looking where he's.
he's a cocker spaniel chasing a rabbit, and then they come back, turn around, and look at you. He's got one ear down and one ear up like that with his tongue out. That's what he's like. He's so enthusiastic. He's brilliant. If he was a cocker spaniel, you want to tickle his tummy, but does that get you 10 goals a season? No. But he's very amiable. He's got all the physical attributes you need. He's quick. He's strong. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's a bit of a conundrum at the moment with him.
And as it is with Joe Willick, as we've mentioned just briefly before, the players. I mean, I spoke there about players who need confidence boosts, who you could see potentially starting, who won't start, but you could potentially see starting. The two players who I think definitely will feature from the start on Wednesday, in famous last words, isn't it, is Willick and Asula.
Yeah.
And, Willick, it's so frustrating. Injuries have really hit him. It kind of stuttered his development and progress as a midfielder in the Premier League. And it is coming to the stage where it is now or never for Joe Willick. And games like this against Bradford are games where he has to really show what he's about, but then more importantly, build on it. And he's got a big window, really, with the injury to Jacob Ramsey. He's got a huge window to prove himself. Now, Eddie Howe likes him. The fans like him. We know what he can do. There's no question about his ability, but we don't see it enough. And he has to make sure in this window where Ramsey's injured, where rotation is going to be key, he has to prove his worth. And I go back to the fact that Harvey Barnes hasn't really done that. Although I do think he's not been as bad as people are making out so far this season, but that's another point. Willick we need to see more from him, and we are getting to the stage where we can't keep saying it'll come, or oh, it's injuries. Give him a few games to get back in the swing of things. It is now or never.
Yeah, absolutely, it is for Willock. Last season, oh well, say last season. It's been a couple of seasons, hasn't it? We'd get his chance in the Premier League, and he'd be very, very poor. Again, another one of those where it wasn't that long ago. Him, Joe Linton, fantastic relationship down that left hand side, and was so fruitful in providing big opportunities and goals and goal involvements, whatever. But yeah, it's just not really clicked for him at all, hasn't it? And you are right. It is getting to this stage where now he has to show us something, or he will be out the door. There's no two ways about it. Again, I mean, the Barcelona when he came on epitomised that, because he did some great stuff, showed energy, but then his final pass, his decision making was just so off. He beat a couple of players, advancing through on goal, and then it was it Tino or was it Gordon wide open on the left to put a cross in? It was just Willock completely blanked him and tried to beat a few more players and ultimately lost possession. It was just so frustrating, and frustration is the key word when it comes to Joe Willock at the moment. We've seen what he's about back when he was on loan and scoring and just scoring big goals for us as well. And again, we've seen him come in this competition, do very well. Got the goal against Forest, put in a big performance the season before at Old Trafford. I think, like you, I think he'll start, and I think Willock will have a good game because he has that quality that is above this level of Bradford, whereas Asula, there's still question marks. Willock should come in and do well against an opponent such as this. But you are right in what you say, because Ramsey's probably in his position, more attuned to the left hand side of that midfield. Yes, Willock can provide a bit of, he can do a job on the wings, can't he? But yeah, it is getting to crunch time, because I don't know how long's left on his contract, but I can't imagine he's got that many years left. So maybe next summer it is a point where you either sell or offer him a new deal, and at the moment you wouldn't be going into talks with him, would you?
No, contract expires 30th of June 2027. So a bit of time to prove his worth. Fingers crossed he has a good game, and then more importantly, builds on that in the weeks and months to come as well, because he's a Newcastle United player, and I want every Newcastle United player to do well. So I would love for Joe Willock to turn it around in Newcastle, and I don't think actually that's too harsh of a phrase to use, because he is kind of on a cliff edge, really. So fingers crossed he can do it against Bradford, and like I say, move on to better things in the next couple of games.
Yeah,
and
because on that point as well, Andrew, sorry to interrupt, he could, if we were to get rid of him, he could go to Fulham, Palace, somewhere like that, and be absolutely brilliant for him. And then we're kicking ourselves again. So of course, there's a player in there somewhere, but he just needs to show it again.
Indeed. One thing's for certain, it's going to be a physical battle on Wednesday. But I've been speaking to Simon Parker from the Telegraph and Argus, the Bradford City reporter down in Bradford, and he said that they won't hold back Bradford. They will, just try and attack, and they'll go for it. That's the way they play. They're not going to change their approach. He thinks the team will largely be the same team that started against Cardiff, and that they're up for this. Kind of, they've got nothing to lose, and they're going to go for it, which is going to make for an interesting game. You can listen to the view from the opposition later today. It'll come out about 6:00 on Tuesday evening, so tune in for that. I asked you at the start, Sam, about how big of a priority this is for Newcastle United. Eddie Howe said in his press conference that he always enjoys the games and preparing for them. We embrace every competition we're in. The Carabao Cup is a competition we love, so we're desperate to do well again. Of course, Eddie Howe wants to win every game. He wants to win every competition possible. I think progress is so important. I think there is a real hope that they can retain this title. Of course, you've got to get the balance right with all the other fixtures, but we know, like I said earlier, momentum is key here, and that's what a win will do.
Yeah. I mean, yes, they're going very well, and they're top of League One. But at the end of the day, they're still a League One side, and it's a game we should be winning. Doesn't matter what 11 we put out, unless it is a full 11 of our under 19s. I mean, they performed admirably against Barcelona themselves last week, just going down 3-2, didn't they? Granted, they were 3-0 down, but still, it's a game we should be winning, and that's the end of it, really. I doesn't surprise me to hear your man from Bradford say things like that, because yeah, winning breeds confidence, and they have every right to come and have a real go. That could be to their detriment. Like when we played again, to go back to that Wimbledon game, they very much sat back and absorbed things, didn't they? But I would imagine Bradford will be sensible with it, as opposed to just completely going gung ho, which would just be football suicide, really. But yeah, it should be a good game.
Yep, and pretty much a sellout, if not a sellout. Now Bradford are bringing 4,900 fans, and
more than Barca.
There we go, more than Barca. Bradford are setting off from around about 1 p.m. on Wednesday, so I hope there's no traffic. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Will they get through Newcastle?
Yeah.
Score?
I think it might get a bit uncomfortable at times. 2-0, 2-1, something like that. I don't know. But again, it's knockout football. The win is the most important thing. I'm not too bothered about the performance, as long as we go through and then we roll straight on to Sunday.
The win is the most important thing, and I think you're right. It'll be a little bit uncomfortable at times. I think I am going to go for like a 1-0 victory for Newcastle. I don't think it'll be easy at all. And usually I would agree with you. You know, the performance isn't that important, but actually I think it is. I think there's a lot of players in this starting 11 that need to put in a good performance just for their own confidence more than anything. And we've discussed it. I'm just reaffirming the point that actually I do for once think in these kind of games that actually some players do need to step up and make the most of the chance that they're going to be given.
Yeah. So well, we'll obviously know more when that team sheet comes through. But yeah, you're right. We all know who they are. We've discussed plenty of them. Lascelles could be one as well. If he does get the start, players like Kraft. There are quite a few that are out of contract in the summer, and you know, with the fees we've recouped the summer just gone, PSR may not be. Well, it shouldn't be an issue. If it is, then oh my word! But it really shouldn't be an issue, should it, for the foreseeable? You know, given we've got. With if you include Kelly and Longstaff, you're looking at around 150 plus what fees recouped. Some are just gone, so PSR shouldn't be an issue. So replacing players that don't have any time left on their contract shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, there's performances that needed to be had.
Indeed. Well, fingers crossed we see the performances from the players that we've spoken about, and Newcastle United do progress into the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. The draw is being made on Thursday at 10 p.m, I believe it is.
Is it?
I think so. Have I just misread that? Was it Wednesday at 10 p.m, maybe?
Should normally Wednesday after the game, isn't it?
Yeah, there can't be any games on Thursday. Sorry, yes, I was mistaken. 10 p.m. on Wednesday. So we will find out soon after the full-time whistle who Newcastle United, fingers crossed, have got in the next round. Thank you to Sam for providing the match preview. He'll be back next week. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Do get into the comments. I'll get back to each and every single one of you. Leave us a rating and review on the audio-only platform. Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, and make sure to take advantage of your no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee offer from NordVPN. Keep yourself safe while browsing public Wi-Fi. Support the podcast at the same time. Thank you as always for tuning in. And me and Sam will see you next